Hello, welcome, and thank you for watching this month's Tarot Talk. I'm Bryan Stafford, intuitive reader from Stafford Tarot, and today's Tarot Talk topic we'll be discussing how I look at past life experiences within tarot readings. Now this live event is recorded and then saved onto my website at www.staffordtarot.com. So for those who are watching from my website, thank you. And for those, I am hoping that more will join during the actual broadcast of this event. I will be offering, later on in the broadcast, I will be offering free short readings for those interested who show interest in the chat during. So I'll just let some arrive. I'll just talk a little bit about my website. On there you can find all sorts of information and helpful suggestions and tips within the blog. It's mainly set up for those who are interested to learn to do tarot for themselves. It gives a bit of a learning platform for anyone who's interested. And you can also go on there and see previous live recordings of the Tarot topic discussions. Some of the previous discussions that I've had so far have been about trans-dimensional readings, jumper cards, impression pulls, shuffling, talked about mediumship with the cards recently, talked about different forms of divination and the differences between different decks. And there's been so much more that we've talked about so far. So if you're interested, just check out my website at staffordtarot.com and look for the blog. And then in the blog, you can change the category to previously recorded events, live events, or check out some of the other categories that are available there as well. Now, hello, I do see some people saying hi. I just need to clear. There, now I can see you. Hello. Hi, Amy. Hi, Lizzie. Thanks so much. Perfect. Thank you for showing interest, Lizzie. I have lost my pen. Here we go. I'm going to just write names down on paper here with my pen as I'm going through the discussion and through the broadcast and through the reading. So anyone who is interested to receive a reading tonight later on in the broadcast, just write interested in the chat and I will add you to the list. Now tonight I am doing something a little different. I am capping the number of readings that I'm giving out tonight. And the reason for that is my previous recordings, my previous broadcasts have gone almost to about 3 hours long. And so I just want to shorten that a little bit. I'm thinking that I'm going to try and keep to a 2-hour max, roughly. And so I'm going to cap it to about 6 free readings later. Now each reading takes about 15 minutes to go through, and because they are short readings. And so you know, it'll be about an hour and a half of time added to the discussion and the broadcast so far. So I think that's more reasonable. And then anyone who shows interested and doesn't get a chance to receive a reading because either we went over the cap of readings tonight, or perhaps sometimes as well, what I've been told in the past is that the messages are slow to come up, and actually some of the messages actually don't appear from some of my viewers, unfortunately. It's very frustrating when that happens, but it has happened even in the last broadcast. During a reading, there was some messages that just weren't being received, and so unfortunately we just had to have some patience and work through the technology and some of the issues with that, or that come with that. Unfortunately. So just trying to have patience with me. If you write something on the screen or into the chat and I'm just kind of looking oblivious or staring off, not responding yet, it just means that it hasn't come up yet or I haven't seen it. So if I don't respond to what you say, just try to have some patience. I think it's about a 20-second or 30-second delay roughly between the times that you might see it come up and the times that I do. Or just feel free to repeat. I won't be offended by being told, you know, or being treated like I'm not listening. I really am listening. I am watching the messages. It does make it a little hard for me to go back in the history during the broadcast, which is why I just say, just write interested in the chat, and if I miss you, let me know, and we'll work that out. I do have a free draw coming up, and I'll talk about that in a minute. in a minute. Hi, Amy. Definitely, I'll add you to the list. And Shanine, I'll add you to the list as well. And anyone else, just let me know, and I will include you. So that's 3 people on my list. So I have 3 more free reading spots available, for which will happen in a moment. So first, before I get to that, just to give some time for some more viewers to come on, I'm just going to talk about some of the upcoming events this month for Stafford Tarot. I'm really excited to be involved in the Holistic Witches Market on Saturday, April 15th, 2023. It runs from about 4 to 10. It takes place at the Victoria Park East Golf Club in Guelph. All of the information is on my website. The address, directions, and more about the event. It's hosted by Luna Events Canada. They do an excellent job with these events, and I'm really excited to be a part of this market. I will be there handing out or offering free 1-card impression pulls to those who are interested, who come and say hi while I'm between private sessions. And then Monday, April 17th, 2023 is when I'll be doing my free draw. And so anyone who shows interest or likes any post that mentions the draw, or shares or comments on any post that mentions the draw, is automatically included. I do look back at those posts and gather up all the names, put them into a draw. I literally draw names from a hat and I pick one. It's a 1 in 5 ratio of winning, and so what that means is that if I have up to 5 people participate in the draw, I pick 1 winner. Up to 10 people, I pick 2 winners. Up to 15, past 10 people, I pick 3 winners, etc. And I do that for the 1 to 5 ratio. And so what you win if you win the free draw is you get a free remote short reading with me, one-on-one through a Zoom meeting. So that's very exciting coming up. Feel free to get involved in that. On Thursday, April 20th, 2023, I will be posting, or it will be the new moon, and leading up to that, I will be posting the Oracle card pull for that new moon. So watch a few days ahead as we approach that date. And then on Saturday, April 29th, 2023, I'm very excited to be into another market-style festival, the Spring Pagan Festival. It's going to run from 4 to 10 p.m. on Saturday, April 29th at the Lions Club in Thorndale, Ontario. It's going to be an excellent event. This one's hosted by the Purple Pentacle, who also do an amazing job creating these festivals. And there's going to be lots to get involved in, activities and rituals that you can get involved in. So check it out. All the information, again, is going to be on my website, staffordtarot.com. And then Friday, May 5th, I will have the full moon. I will have a oracle pull, card pull set up and ready for that full moon. So watch a few days ahead as I release that on my website. I do sometimes put a post or an announcement on my social media, but the website's always a guaranteed, like I always keep the website up to date. And then finally, Tuesday, May 9th is going to be my next Tarot Talk Live. And I'm really excited about this Tarot Talk in particular next time, because my Tarot Talk topic is going to be about full readings. The differences between short readings and full readings, and what full readings have to offer. And so during that Tarot Talk Live event, during the broadcast, I'm going to be offering 2 full readings to the first people who show interest in the chat during that broadcast on May 9th. It's going to start about 8 o'clock p.m., similar to this one. And the reason why I'm only doing 2 free readings during that broadcast is because a full reading can take up to or more than a half an hour each. And so given 2, I'm going to be doing an hour plus, giving some time or room to expand on if we need to. So I'm really looking forward to that. Anyone who's interested, just join me for that event, and all the links will be available on my website, and watch for the upcoming events section where more information will be posted. So thank you so much. I'm going to just start getting into the topic now. I do see I have some viewers. I have trouble during these broadcasts to tell who's watching or how many people are watching. And so just have some patience with me. I don't really know you're there until you write in the chat. So, past life experiences using cards. Why is this important? Well, first of all, when I'm doing a tarot reading and the topic could really be affecting my sitter or my client, or even myself if I'm doing a self-reading, quite often it's our feelings and things that we're going through and our instincts are built from previous experiences. And if we've gone through something in a past life, for example, then that experience can affect us in this life now. So one example that I commonly give when I'm giving readings and people ask me about this is I one time gave a reading to somebody who really didn't like water. They didn't really like going out in the rain. They stayed indoors. They didn't really understand it. They never took baths. They always forced themselves to take showers because it was quicker, and it was just like they were somehow afraid of water and rain. And so we did a tarot card spread on it, and we did a past life experience pull, and the cards explained that there was a drowning that took place, and they had never drowned in this life, and so the experience may have happened in a previous life. And in understanding that, my client was able to slowly get over that fear. Knowing where it came from and how it was built up allowed them to move on from it practically. Now, they never really got fully over that completely, but they were able to, have baths, go outside in the rain, do more, and they were more free from it. And it was all because I gave them something to explore, and it made sense for them, and they were able to connect with it and resonate with it, and it helped them move on from it. It gave them a purpose to it instead of trying to constantly figure out why and how it was happening. So that's just one example. And sometimes that can come up when a reading seems very difficult to go through, or it doesn't really seem like it's understandable why all this could be happening. There are some ways of looking into those past life experiences to see how it's affecting now. And so I brought out 3 major card decks. I do this with some other decks, but I thought these were the more important ones to talk about on this topic. And the first one that I'm talking about is my actual past lives deck. What this deck does is it explains the different intricacies that were involved in a previous life and what they have to do with the reading that's already taking place on the table. Now, this is a little hard to sample or show example of without getting into a reading itself. So I think I'm just going to give an example of like just a random card to show you and then explain what it, like how it references. I have to cut the deck, it's just my way. So for example, if you came from a Celtic background, so if you felt drawn to that, the Celtic religions or the Celtic traditions or the culture that comes from that time or that that area, that demographic, and if you feel drawn to that, it could be because of being connected to past life of being involved in the Celtic life or Celtic tradition. Now, interestingly enough, when this drawn out, I personally have a connection with the Celtic card, and so it's interesting that that's just the card that pulled out. So for the next deck that I'm going to talk about is my past life experiences deck. Now, this deck is much more intuitive. It's not as pinpointing as this deck where it gives you the background. What this does is it gives you the experience or the emotion that was involved in the past life. And sometimes that can be really important to understand in terms of the experience we may be going through or the emotions that we're experiencing within that are being described in the reading, we can look back to see if that extenuated from the past. That can be important to understand in terms of whether sometimes if you believe in reincarnation and learning the life lessons as we go along, a lot of times if you believe in reincarnation, you may also believe that we're brought back to learn lessons that we didn't learn in previous lives. And so sometimes if there's a lesson that hasn't been learned in each life, that when you're returned and back to reincarnate into this life, you're going through that same lesson, sort of being forced to learn what you didn't learn previously. And so looking at the emotions that are involved and how they're similar to what's happening now can help understand that link, or that understand the just the experience and why it's being experienced a certain way. And an example of this card, I'll just show you one card as I did the other one, just to show you this is more intuitive and much more emotion drawing. So not much emotion, but for example, you know, if a person, if this card came up in a reading, and the person that I was doing the reading with was afraid of flying, they may have had an experience in a plane. Perhaps they were a pilot, or perhaps they were a passenger when a mechanical malfunction happened, or something, that there was this previous experience that may have gone through connected with what's happening. And a lot of times the cards really pinpoint and confirm what the reading is about. Now, this is one of my favorite ways to do this in a reading, because it's a very simple way of confirming and affirming the experience that's happening in a reading itself. And this is my life purpose deck. It's called the Sacred Destiny deck. And it basically looks at the portion of life path that you're walking. So this is more in terms of like those lessons that get repeated, or the reasons and contracts that get created when we reincarnate into this life. And so I'll show you an example. So I would do, normally I would do a reading, and then I would offer this deck to gain a little bit of clarity on what portion of life path you're walking during the reading. And so this is an example. This is the transformation card, and you can see it just shows an image. And anytime that I've used this deck with a client in person, they always have a connection with the image. Either they dreamt the image, or they had they saw it, or I've been told that they have a tattoo of that, or there's something really connecting with this deck, and that's really because it's trying to pinpoint the life path, the portion of life path that you're walking, that has to do with whatever topic is on the table for the reading. And so that can be really helpful in sort of understanding the details of the reading a little further, or understanding why the reading is saying what it is. Like, why is it directing me in this direction? Well, it has to do with the transformation, or whatever the life purpose is. So I hope that makes sense. There are different ways of looking at past life experiences with tarot cards, just using the regular tarot deck themselves, such as past life regression readings, where the layout specifically is intended to draw past experiences from you. It's sort of like connecting with those activators or triggers from experiences that you've been through, and then organizing and sorting through each one as they come up. They're way more complicated readings to get through, and they do take much more time. They take more like they would be more like an hour reading, and much more psychic, much more analyzation involved. And I would really recommend, if anyone is interested in trying to analyze their own past life experiences themselves. There are many guided meditations online that can really be helpful in assisting in grounding and really silencing our minds in order to make those connections. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw them into the chat. I do see some more people saying hello to me. Hello, everyone. I would shout out everyone's names. It's unfortunate that I can't see everyone who's seeing me at the moment, but I just... Hello. I do appreciate anyone who does join me in these tarot talks. I do hope that you find the topics interesting. And as I said previously or earlier in the chat, if anyone is interested to learn to do tarot readings themselves, even basic just self-readings for yourself, check out my website, open up the blog and take a look. There are even video lessons available so that you can just get a jump start yourself. And if you resonate with the technique that is described in the video, I also offer a workshop, individual or in a group, in order to learn a technique called the Path. It's a style of reading in tarot that helps you learn the associations within tarot without memorizing the complicated meanings from the books. So all the information is available on my website. And that website is www.staffordtarot.com. One of the things I'm really not good at is self-promoting myself. I probably don't mention the website enough, or I probably don't mention some of the great things that the website has to offer enough. So just check it out and explore it. When you get to the front page, there are all sorts of options that lead you into other directions and other areas. It can really be, anyone who's interested to learn tarot, it really could be your own rabbit hole to fall down. And that was my hope, was to create a website that would encourage and help those who were interested. So I am able to start on giving out some of those readings. Lizzie, if you're there, I'll start with you. And I'm going to do short readings, so each reading will take about 15 minutes as I described. I always start my readings with a one-card impression pull from this deck, and that just tells me where my client is sitting energetically in the moment. And then I will move to this deck, and that's when you'll have an opportunity to give me a question or a topic to focus on, or if you want to leave it general, that's totally fine too. A lot of times when readings are left general, the messages that come up are the messages that just need to be heard anyways. And so, but sometimes it can be nice to refine the reading if you're here for a specific purpose, or if you have a specific question. We can focus on that too. So Lizzie, just let me know that you're still there, and let me know if you have a topic or question, or if you'd like a general reading. And while I'm waiting for you to answer, I'm just going to start connecting and do a one-card impression pull. And as you saw, right when I connected and tried to connect with you, 2 cards popped out right away, and so I'm going to go by that. I did talk about jumper cards in a previous tarot talk topic, if you want to check that out, but these are jumper cards, the way that they just jumped out, and so I have to read them here. Hi Tara, thanks for your message. I'm doing well, thank you. Hope the same for you. And so this is for Lizzie. And Lizzie, the 2 cards that came out are both higher arcana cards, one reversed, one not. And so this is really interesting, and I'm going to talk about this. It's the Lover's card, which is not reversed, and the Hierophant card, which is reversed. Now, I really get the sense that these 2 cards are speaking together. And the way that they're speaking together, not just because they're higher arcana cards, but also in the ways that they're one's flipped and one's not. The Lover's card is not flipped, and so I feel like there's a relationship to talk about here. And this does feel like the Lover's card in the sense of a relationship. The people are standing out, and the clouds between the people are standing out for being symbolically. Sorry about that. And so what I really feel like is that this right now in your current situation or current where you're sitting energetically in the moment, this is on your mind. And then there's the Hierophant card, which is like this may be on your mind, but it's about not doing it the way it would be expected. The Hierophant card normally looks like this, and it's like taking the systematic approach to things. So in terms of when you think about like what society has ingrained, where what's the right way to do things, and there's a certain approach you have to take. When it's reversed, it means that you're doing it your own way. You're not doing it the way that it's expected, or you're not doing it in that systematic approach. You're doing it in a way that is just like your own way. It's all over. And that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes we have to do things our own way, and I really get the sense that that's what this is about. This is a very probably unique relationship, or this is a very unique just what's transpiring is unique. And I feel like you're in this you're currently in this unique situation. Can you resonate with that? Does that make sense for you, Lizzie? And I didn't see the message about if you had a question or topic you wanted me to focus on yet. I do hope that the messages are coming through, or that I am receiving them. I'm gonna start going ahead with a general reading for you, Lizzie, because I'm not seeing the message coming up beyond when Tara said hello and Janet said good evening. Hi, Janet. I do hope that you're still there, or that you're able to respond, or that I'm able to see your messages. Like I said, that has happened in the past, where the messages just weren't coming up, and it was a little frustrating, but we ended up getting through it, and the messages eventually started showing up again. Thank goodness. So I'll just leave it general in hopes that if you did have a question, since the general readings do highlight the information that needs to be heard, that it'll touch on that. And I'm just going to cut the deck. Okay, and the 3 cards that I get for you, interestingly enough, this reading is bookended by 2 higher arcana cards that are not reversed, and the one in the center is a swords card. Now, swords are like heavy thoughts and intellect, and so I feel like this is heavy on your mind. And I'm going to start with the higher arcana cards. The first card that I want to talk about is the Fool card. Now, if you've seen previous Tarot Talk live events, this card has come up a few times. And what it really represents is not necessarily being the fool, knowing exactly what you want, knowing exactly what you're doing inside, but to everyone else, you may seem like the fool. Like to the external circle of people around you, you may feel, or you may seem like they may view you like you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're doing, or that you're doing kind of sort of acting silly, and you know exactly what you're doing, and you know exactly what it means and how you feel. And that's what the Fool card represents. It's like to everyone else you look like the fool, but to you, you know exactly how you are. Sort of like a common description that I like to use for this card is, say if this person on the card, the character on the card, if they were in love, they'd be kind of staring off into space, daydreaming, possibly, you know, floating through the air, kind of whimsical, you know, just love is wonderful, and everyone else is looking at them like, what's wrong with you and what's your problem? You know, and that's sort of like how the Fool card is represented. It's like everyone else doesn't get what's happening internally for you. Then the other higher arcana card was the Chariot card. The card looks like this. It did not come out reversed. And what this really means is sort of like there's this heavy event or task that you're getting onto. And if you compare it to the Chariot, you know, when you think about the Chariot, it's like you have a driver, and the driver is steering the mares, and he has a lot to think about in terms of like keeping his chariot intact. What if his wheel breaks? You know, he's got to win the race, and there's that goal, that ultimate goal. And that's what the Chariot represents, is that there's this ultimate goal for you, and you're like off to the races to make that happen for yourself, and you're just in that process. Now, I do get the sense that these high arcana cards are sort of speaking together in the sense that it could be this process that you're going through that people may not be understanding around you. And the other card that's in the center that I need to talk about is the Seven of Swords reversed. It looks like this. Normally, it looks like this. And swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect, as I described. And 7 is sort of like, it's like a spiritual number of what's important to us. So when we think about the heavy thoughts and intellect that are important to us, this card can often make you feel like that something's being taken from us intellectually. When it's reversed like this, I don't think you have anything to worry about. I think there may be some sort of fear that of being taken advantage of, or perhaps not being respected in some way. But this is really saying that that's not the case. And so if you're feeling like, if you're wondering or if you're pondering whether this is taking place or not, I think the cards are really speaking in good terms. You just have to put in the work to get there, like the Chariot. You know, it's really good for you to know what you need for yourself in terms of the Fool card, like you are on your path, and whether anyone else understands it or not, it's whether you understand it that's important. The work that goes in to accomplish your goal is the Chariot, is represented in the Chariot card. And so I see this as being like hard work, like you have a lot to do to get there. So don't let people hold you back or get in your way. Now, I wonder if I can expand on this a little further. I think I'd like to maybe just use this as an opportunity to give example to the Sacred Destinies deck and looking at the portion of life path that you may be on that is in terms of this. I'm just going to do a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and it's just going to, like I said, give us a description of the life path that you're on. In terms of what's happening here. These are very important messages that are coming out, and I feel like there's this like important journey for you that's involved, which is why I think this deck may be helpful. And interestingly enough, it's the Love card. And why I find that so interesting is the first 2 cards that came out is having this very strong relationship, and the relationship being not like a standard relationship, or not doing it in the way that's expected. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. So I just think in terms of this reading, I think that there's a connection here. I see like a confirmation in the way that this has come out, that with the Lovers card, and then not doing it in the way that would be expected, but then there's this the Fool card, in the sense of like you know, you know exactly what you're doing. It doesn't matter what other people think, and you're sort of like off to the races. So this is like determination, and it makes sense that this would be happening, and that you're determined to make this work for yourself, and it doesn't matter what other people think if you're just following your heart. And part of your life path, or the portion of the reason that you're here partly, is to go through this experience, to experience the love. Does that make sense for you, Lizzie? Do you have any questions about that so far? let me know. I do hope I'm receiving the messages. Maybe if someone could type something just so that I know that you can hear me, or that it's still broadcasting, or that I can still see the messages that are coming up. I'm going to put the cards away. Lizzie, please connect or let me know your thoughts on this, or if I can... Oh, perfect. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Amy, for just confirming that that I can receive your messages and that you can hear me and everything's good. So I'm not sure... Excuse me. I'm not sure what happened to Lizzie. I hope that she's still in the call. Lizzie, if you got disconnected, hopefully you'll be able to go back and look at the reading from my website and see see how your reading went if you missed it. Oh, so as I was discharging the cards for you, Lizzie, 2 cards popped out, and there's no coincidences in tarot with these jumper cards. And so I just need to speak about this for you quickly. I do hope you're able to, if you've been disconnected or if you've left, that you're able to come back and see this. But I have the Empress card reversed and the 5 of Cups. And the Empress card is really about stepping into your power. It's like feminine power and like motherhood, or just like when you think about the Empress, it's really about like feminine power and stepping into that. And when it's reversed like this, it doesn't mean that you're not stepping into it, but that there's something that needs to be resolved, or like figured out for you. And so there could be something that you need to look at in terms of what you need for yourself. And what could be getting in the way is this emotional overwhelm. There's this emotional overwhelm that's happening for you, which is represented in the 5 of Cups. The cups represent emotion. You can see that every option has some strange new out of the box thing to think about. And it's all coming out of the clouds in the symbolisms of the cards. And so I really think that this could be overwhelming for you. And the ways to flip this around where it's not overwhelming and you connect with this feminine power is to really get to know yourself and, you know, sit in the seat of the Empress and take charge of how you're feeling and what you're going through. I do hope that's helpful for you, Lizzie. Okay, and I will do Amy next, if Amy's available. Let's put some water there. So Amy, I see you there, that you're hearing me. Awesome. I'm going to start with you. I'm just going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, as I have been, and that's just going to give me a little bit of an impression of where you're at energetically in the moment. And then I'll move to this deck, and that's when you'll have an opportunity to I'll do your general reading that you just requested that popped up on the screen. So perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck. If anyone else is interested to receive our reading tonight, just let me know. Just write interested in the chat and I'll add you to the list. I do have 3 more spots available for anyone who may be interested. So Amy, this is for you. And I'm just connecting with you through our interaction here as I charge the cards. I feel like I should go one more time here. Okay. And for you, Amy, I get the 5 of Pentacles reversed. And Amy, what this can often represent is sitting in a place of no longer being taken advantage of, or not allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. If there's someone who's trying to take advantage of you and you just like put a stop to it, that's often what this card means. When it comes out this way, it can mean that like like you are sort of being taken advantage of, or that you need to, it could represent poverty, or it could represent just being unfortunate, or injured, or just somehow being held back, or like at that disadvantage. When it's reversed like this, it means that you've done something that is beneficial to that, or avoided that, or is against that, or has prevented that, or there's some sort of disconnect to being taken advantage of. If that makes sense, just let me know. Thank you, Janet. I've just added you to the list. And anyone else who'd like to receive a reading tonight, just let me know and I'll add you in. So Amy, this is to continue your reading. Does that resonate for you? Okay, thank you for that confirmation there. So I'm just going to continue here with a 3-card pull from this deck. And this is just focusing on generally. So the 3 cards that came out to you are really interesting. There's a higher arcana card, and then a rod and a pentacle, and I'll talk about them, but I want to start with the higher arcana card. And it's really about having patience and taking the time. This is the Wheel of Fortune reversed. And now, don't fret, it is the Wheel of Fortune card. When it's reversed, it doesn't mean bad luck, like some believe. It actually means that it's just going to take some time, or you just have to sort of wait it out. It doesn't mean that you're in for bad luck. It just means that what you're hoping to achieve is going to take time, or it's going to take patience to achieve it. Now, the card beside that is the Page of Rods. Now, rods are all about actions that need to be taken, and the page is about getting onto a new action or a new path. And you can see from the image that this page is sort of pondering his action. He's kind of checking out the rod and looking at it kind of foundedly. Now, what this means is that you are in a process of figuring out this action that you need to take, or the direction that you're going to move forward. Excuse me. And then is the 9 of Pentacles. It looks like this. And it represents having sort of your worldly goods. Setting up your world in a way that's just right for you. And I feel like that's part of the process that's happening here. It's really the way that you'd like your world set up, or the way that you view your world. And so you're in the process of like the actions that put this together, and it's just taking time and patience, and it's just going to be a process. Now, when I look at this reading and I bring it down to where you're sitting energetically in the moment of, I really feel like you've stood your ground. You haven't allowed this process to be interfered with, or you are really working at not getting this process interfered with. I'm just looking at some of the cards. I'm wondering which, to extend this a little further, which one would be more helpful. I think given that it seems like you know what you're doing, and I'm going to look at advice in terms of how we interact with the energy around you. This is my Zen deck, and it's really good at giving advice at just that, sort of what's happening, how we interact with the energies around us, as opposed to what we need for ourselves. And so I'm just going to do a 3-card pull from this deck, and I'm just asking this deck for advice in terms of your reading for you moving forward. And so Two of them are higher arcana, and it's actually bookended by higher arcana cards in this tarot deck structure. And so I really feel like that's really important, and they're bookending this compromise card. And so I feel like I need to start there. This is the compromise card, and it's about just that, making compromises in terms of how we interact with others. This would be like the same kind of symbol or a tarot card as like a pentacle, where it's like our needs, so either health or finances. Excuse me. And it's about making compromises. And so the cards that are on either side of that are really interesting, because they're really not about compromise. It's about a new vision and breakthrough. And so I really think that this is where in terms of like standing your ground and determining the actions that you need to take to move forward, and having your worldly goods, having your world set up the way that you'd like. I really feel like that this is involved in that there's this breakthrough where, this possibly could be the breakthrough where you're not allowing people to take advantage of you anymore, or there's an end that's been put to it, or there's some sort of like, this could be like a new vision or a realization of what you want in your world. I do get a sense that these are connected in that way, that the new vision and the Nine of Pentacles are connected, that the breakthrough and the Page of Rods are connected, and the compromise and the Wheel of Fortune is connected. I really feel like that's where the compromise needs to happen, is that it needs to just take time and patience to acquire. Does that resonate for you? I hope this was helpful. When I look at this reading as a whole for Amy, I do see I do see positivity. I do get the sense that this is positive, even though the journey may be difficult. Okay, thank you for that confirmation. I really appreciate that, Amy. I think you're headed in a good place in this reading. I really think you're headed in a good place. It's just, it's a journey, and it's like the road may be jagged, but it leads somewhere. So I think just have that patience and make the right choices for you, and your world it'll all come together. So I'm just going to shuffle and thank the deck. And I can do Shanine's reading next. Shanine, if you're available and ready, just let me know. And if you have a particular topic or question you'd like me to focus on, or like it's been done tonight, we can leave it general. You're very welcome, Amy. Hi, Shanine. Thank you for that. Awesome. So I'm going to start with a one-card impression pull from this deck, Shanine, and that's just going to tell me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then I'm going to move to this deck, and that's when you'll have an opportunity to give me a question, or if you want me to focus on a topic, or we can leave it general. Now, when I get in... terribly sorry. When I get into these live broadcasts, because I'm talking so much, I tend to cough. I think it dries out my throat. So, general about work, I can definitely do that. I'm going to start with the one-card impression pull. And Shanine, for you, this is just going to tell me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then we'll move to that deck. I always start my readings with a one-card impression pull, and the reason for that is I often find it helpful to look back at where someone's sitting energetically in the moment when I'm looking at a reading in terms of either their past or their future or presently now. I think either way it can be really important to know where we are during the reading, and then where the reading's headed, or what the reading is advising, or the suggestions that come out of it. So for you, Shanine, I get the 8 of Cups. It did not come out reversed, it came out like this. And for the 8 of Cups, it often means walking away from a lot of emotional baggage, or there's some sort of a lot of emotional, like cups represent emotion in tarot. You can see the main character is sort of heading to the high ground. They're kind of walking away and leaving behind all this emotion. Quite often this can be for someone in a position that can be, like the position itself can be overwhelming. I don't necessarily think that you're emotionally overwhelmed, but that you're walking away from some emotions. It could be like the right thing for you to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're like avoiding or abandoning anything. I do get the sense that there's like something being worked out here. Does that make sense for you? And so I'm going to move on to this deck, and that's where I'm going to focus on your general reading. And you mentioned work. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I charge this general reading. Okay, thank you for that confirmation, Shanine. I appreciate that. And the 3 cards that came up for you, Shanine, there are no higher arcana cards. 2 kings have come up, which is really fascinating. One is reversed, one's not. And then we have a suit. And I'm going to start with the suit, because the suit is a very... well, I'll just show you the card and you'll understand why I started there. It's the 3 of Swords. And oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. If I can get through this without coughing, that would be wonderful. I can't imagine what that must sound like on a microphone. I do apologize. The card that I want to start with is the 3 of Swords. It looks like this, and it represents sort of what the image is portraying. These are heavy thoughts and intellect that are like hard to think about. Quite often, because it's the 3, this can mean like a hard or heavy communication to have, or a communication that's really hard to have, like a talk that's really hard to have. It can mean like an argument or a fight sometimes. So let me know how that resonates for you. It could mean that there's some sort of topic that is really hard to think about or really hard to work out intellectually. Now, the first king that I'm going to start with is the King of Cups reversed. Quite often, the King of Cups can represent somebody who has a decision to make, and it's an emotional decision, and there's something that needs to be figured out in order to make that decision. Like there's a missing piece or a fragment missing, that once you get that missing information or that missing piece, then this card will flip around and you'll be able to sit in the seat of the throne of the king and make that decision. Now, this is the King of Cups, and cups represent emotion in tarot. So this is like an emotional decision or an emotional process to go through. And so once you figure out that piece that you need, or that solve that whatever's holding you back, this will flip and you'll be able to make that decision. But in the meantime, you're still in the process of leading up to that. Now, beside that is the King of Rods, not reversed. And so this is about taking action and making a decision in terms of taking action. And sometimes those decisions have consequences. And so I really feel like you want to be careful in this position with a King of emotion, essentially reversed, and a King of action ahead. What this says to me, I feel like these kings are speaking together. And what it's saying to me is that you may avoid the emotion to take action, and so you don't want to do things prematurely, or you don't want to jump the gun, take the action and not consider the emotions that are involved. I would sort of take a step back and figure out what needs to be resolved to sit in both of these thrones, to be the king of your emotion and actions. and then move forward. So just with this combination with two kings in conflict, there could be like, you may be feeling like that, like you're pulled in two directions, or that you can't sit in both thrones at the same time, right? So that can be overwhelming. Let me know if that makes sense to you, or if you can resonate with that, Shanine. This does not seem like an easy path to walk at all. In fact, this seems very a challenging position to be in. And so I can totally understand this sort of walking away and finding the higher ground. I would like to I think I'd like to look at what you need in terms of like for yourself. I could extend this reading a little further using my heart chakra deck. This deck gives great advice in terms of what we need for ourselves. And given that you're in this position now, and there's all this sort of going on, I'd like to give advice to moving forward for what would be best for you. Now, if anything here is not making sense, or you're not able to connect with this harsh conversation, it could mean that there's a lead up to this, perhaps. So just keep that in mind, okay, the way that this has come out. I do get the sense that there's some sort of decision that needs to be made, or something to think about, and it's like back and forth, or not able to make that decision for one reason or another. Now, I just was called to draw the 3 top cards, and so I just feel like this deck was sort of set up for you to receive these messages. And so I'm just going with my intuitiveness in this. And 2 of them are higher arcana, 1 of them is not. And the 2 higher arcanas are reversed, and so I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start with this extra card. And it's the Clarity of Belief card. It's the first of intellect and strong thoughts. This would be like an Ace of Swords, for example. And it's really about coming to clarity of belief. It's about coming to terms of what you believe, like stepping into your power of gaining clarity in that. And so I really think that what the suggestion that's coming out of this is really just to maybe slow yourself down, take the time to find that clarity for yourself. Now, the 2 cards that are reversed, that are higher arcana, are the Teach card and the Balance card. So quite often when this card comes out, when the card is reversed, it can mean that there's some sort of imbalance, that in order to create balance and turn this card around, you have to sort of find the balance within yourself. And until you do that, the card will remain reversed. And then the Teach card reversed. Now, this is often a symbol for me when this isn't really something for you to teach. This isn't an experience for you to connect and reach out to others. It's really about you and that and what you need for yourself, and absorbing for yourself. And I don't mean that in the sense of learning. I mean that in the sense of like taking action or doing what's right for you. You're not doing this to for anyone else. It's your own path, and that's the sense that I get from this card. 5 in numerology is like it could go either way, and I think that just speaks clearly to it's like connecting with me with these 2 kings, one reverse, one not, where it's this struggle of like of back and forth. Does this make sense for you, Shanine? I feel like this reading is sort of all over, and it could be that's your experience, or that's how you're from what you're going through. Just let me know your thoughts on that. Oh, hi Abdul, thanks for joining. I appreciate your message. I'm actually live now, and I'm taking, giving some free readings now. If you're interested, I could add you to the list. Just let me know. Okay, thank you for that confirmation, Shanine. I really appreciate that, so you understand where this is going and where this is coming from. I really think that even though it seems like such a struggling path to take, I do see strength in this for you in terms of like finding that higher ground and the clarity of belief, just believing in yourself and finding that strength within you. I hope that that's helpful. So I'm just going to put the cards away, decharge them and thank them. And then Janet, if you're still on the call, I'll do your free reading next. One of the things that I often do at a market or a festival, if I'm there, is if anyone mentions that it's their birthday, I'll give them a free birthday reading. And what I give for the free birthday reading is a 1-card impression pull, as I normally start with, and then 3-card pull from my heart chakra deck in terms of what they need for themselves. Because when it's your birthday, it's always good to analyze what you need for yourself. Hi Janet, thanks for confirming that you're there. And can you let me know if you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on for the reading, or we can leave it general. Quite often when readings are left general, the messages come out in the cards that need to be heard anyways, but it's up to you if you want to try and refine the reading to your own question or topic. While you're deciding on that, I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me, Janet, where you are energetically in the moment. And as you could see, that just sort of popped out, and so I'm going to go with that. It's a jumper card. Hi Monica, thanks for joining us. I am just giving some free readings, and we talked about the Tarot Talk topic, past life experiences previously. So if you're interested in that topic, you can always look back in the broadcast. I will be posting this on my social media and on my website, staffordtarot.com, so you can always go back and look back at it. Thank you, Janet. I will definitely give you a reading. And Abdul, I've just added you next on the list, and so I'll give you a free reading after Janet. And I have 1 spot left for a free reading tonight. I don't know if Monica, you're interested. Would love a free reading. There we go. Okay, Monica, you are the 6th person free reading tonight. I'm going to do your reading after Abdul, and then after Monica will be the last free reading tonight. So this is the card that came out for you, Janet, and it is the 3 of Cups. Now, normally when the 3 of Cups looks like this, it can represent a celebratory communication of some kind, like something communicated that's like happy about, or that, you know, if it was reversed like this, I would suggest like rumors or negative gossip or things that are talked about you. But when it's not reversed like this, it can mean like happy communication quite often, and it can mean this, and it's symbolized in the card and in the image as like 3 friends getting together, sharing drinks and just having a good time. It's really about that kind of communication. And so I feel like for you, there's like you're in this place in the moment of like good communication. Either you have good things to say, or there's good things being said about you or around you. So I'm going to continue with your general reading. I'm just going to do a 3-card pull from this deck and see the messages that need to be heard. And then I will look at if we can extend on the reading further using an oracle deck. Now, I am a trans-dimensional reader, which is why I use so many decks, and that's what that means. It just means that I look at I look at one reading from different dimensions of different decks within the same session. So there's our first card. It just kind of jumped out at us, and so I feel like that's where we're going to start. That's a message that needs to be heard. And then for 2 other cards. Now, as you saw, this jumped out, and so it's the 2 of Swords. And Janet, quite often the 2 of Swords jumps out like this when someone has a strong, important decision they need to make, like a choice. Swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect. 2, it represents that choice. And you can tell from the image here that this person is needing to make the choice with a blindfold on. So they may not have all the information that they need in order to make the choice. If they could just like lift the blindfold or peek through, they would get more information that they needed in order to make the choice. The card beside that is the King of Rods. Now, we talked a little bit about this card already tonight, but for you, Janet, what stands out for me is that the King of Rods is not reversed, and it's basically describing making a decision about an action to take moving forward. King of Rods represent actions that need to be taken, and kings are, they sit in a throne, they make decisions in the best interest of others, sort of the reign of their kingdom, and quite often there are sacrifices involved. And so I feel like for you, Janet, there's this decision that, like, I feel like these 2 cards are speaking together, where there's this heavy decision to make, and then you're having to decide the action that goes with that. And the final card that is in this reading is the 9 of Pentacles reversed. Now, we talked about this card a little bit previously as well, except when it's not reversed like this, it can often mean that we're like putting together the things that we want in our lives. Well, you can see from the image that this person has like her fancy gown, her fancy hat, she has her exotic pet, and she's eating her, her fruit. It looks like some sort of garden in the background. And so it's like pieces of her life that make her life feel perfect for her. When it's reversed like this, it doesn't mean that you're not in the process of that, but that you're still in that process of putting those pieces together. So you're still gathering the things that you need for your life and to have your life fit as you see fit. I feel like that has a lot to do with these decisions that are being made. Does that make sense for you, Janet? Now, even though this seems like a tough process to go through, I feel like you're sitting in a good place during. I'm not sure if what's being talked about is the decisions that are being made and that they're sort of being celebrated. I do get a sense that there's a connection here. I may not be getting into enough detail. Oh, there's a message. Okay, thank you for that, Janet. I appreciate that message. Right. So, Janet, just to confirm what you've just said, you feel like that this is looking at sort of the decisions and actions that are going to be undertaken in the next year. Okay, thank you for that confirmation. I really appreciate that, Janet. I'm wondering how I can extend on this a little further. Drawn to a specific deck, and so I'm gonna follow that intuition. This is my Sixth Sense deck. It's sort of a deck that's used for psychic prediction or psychic sixth sense, and I'm just going to pull a general card from this deck. I just felt drawn to it, and there's the card. The card jumped out at us, and so we're going with it. And the card is the Abundance card. And this goes right along with the messages in here in setting up your life in terms of this Nine of Pentacles reversed. I really feel like what's coming for you in the future is this abundance, and that's what you're leaning towards. Yes, there's been quite a few jumpers tonight, actually. I have talked about that on a previous tarot talk if you're interested. I think it was, I think one of last year's topics. Fingers crossed. Yes, exactly, Janet. But I don't think, I think I think if you make the right decisions here, that's where you're leading. I mean, this is the Sixth Sense deck. And so I don't think that this is like coincidental, or I don't think that this is saying like chance of. I think there's actual opportunity for abundance if you play the cards right. No pun intended, because this is a tarot reading. If you make the choices that lead forward. Does that make sense for you, Janet? And I think enjoy this. I think enjoy where you're sitting now. I think there's some sort of communication that's positive. Either it's you connecting with others in terms of what's happening here, or there's something positive that's taking place. Okay, thank you for that, Janet. I'm just looking at my cards. I'm wondering if I can extend on this just a little further, doing one more card pull using the Sacred Destiny deck, just to see sort of the section of life path that you're on, and to see if this is related to, you know, the contracts in your life that need to be fulfilled. So the cards are going together really kind of rigid for this. They're kind of hitting each other, they're kind of rough and kind of stopping each other. See how that's kind of happening? And I find that really fascinating in a life path portion pull. Quite often it can mean that the person is their worst enemy, or that you may be like against yourself in some way. So just keep that in mind, that I think you want to work at making the right choices for yourself here. And I'm going to show you the card that came out. This is the Purity card. And let me know if the image resonates with you, Janet. Quite often this card comes out for someone who is stepping out of the crowd, so to speak. So it could possibly mean that in a previous life you weren't able to stand out. You weren't able to be unique. You were fit in with you know, kind of a structure or what was expected of you, and that's all it was. You were no different than anyone else around you. And so in this life, you're here to sort of accentuate on that and to prove that wrong, that you are unique, that you are pure, and you are unique in that purity. That's really what I'm getting from this card pull. And what I really like about the way that this has come out is I really see this as being a developmental path. This is really a path for you to take in molding and developing your soul as it's maturing and as you're going through your life paths. I hope this was helpful. I'm just going to put the cards away. And then I'll move to Abdul. Abdul, if you're ready, just let me know if you're there. good. Thank you for that, Janet. You're very welcome. So Abdul, I'm going to do a short reading for you next. If you could let me know if you have a specific topic or question you'd like me to focus on, or we can leave it general like we have a few times tonight with other readings. And then after Abdul, I'll do Monica's reading, and then that'll be all the readings for tonight. So Abdul, if you're there, just let me know if you would like a general reading or if you have a specific topic or question. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to let me know where you're at energetically in the moment. I have done a previous tarot talk topic on the actual 1-card impression pulls and what they actually mean and how they're done. If that interests anyone, please feel free to check it out. So Abdul, this card is for you. Shanine, I won't be doing another reading tonight, unfortunately, but I really appreciate your message, and you really reach out to me through my website. Go to www.staffordtarot.com and check out the other opportunities for free readings. I do have a free draw opportunity coming up on Monday, April 17th, around 9 or 10 in the morning. I'm going to do a draw for a chance for people to win a free remote tarot reading with me. And so the difference between this short readings and a remote short reading with me is that you get to interact with me one-on-one and ask questions directly, like in the live or in the chat, in the video chat during the reading itself. So it's a bit more comprehensive, it's a bit more connecting, and so I will definitely include you in that free draw if you'd like. Okay, thank you for that, Abdul. And the card that came out for you, Abdul, is the Page of Wands reversed, and this was for your energetic state in the moment, and then I will focus on your question about the best steps for you to take in the next month ahead. I'll focus on that with this deck, but I just want to talk about where you're sitting energetically in the moment right now. And so this is the Page of Wands reversed, and what it really means is wands represent actions, and page is like the beginning of a path or getting onto a new action, because it's the Page of Wands, and it's reversed, meaning that you're not able to get onto this path, that currently you're sitting in this position of not getting onto this approach or not going in the direction that you need to in terms of the actions that you need to take. Now, this doesn't mean that you're stuck in this. It doesn't mean that you're not going to take the actions that you need. It means that once you figure out the actions that you need to take, this is going to flip and you'll be off to, getting on into that direction or getting onto the path that is going to lead you into these actions, or taking the actions that lead you into the path. But for now, the card's reversed, meaning that there's something preventing you from moving forward. So I'm going to start with a 3-card pull from this deck, Abdul, and I'm going to focus on your question, and then if we can, I'm going to extend on that further for some advice on moving forward. But I'm going to try and look at where you are moving. I'm going to do this as a to get the cards to describe where it is that you're moving forward, and then we'll ask for advice on that direction. Now, one of the things I can tell from the way that the cards are shuffling, Abdul, is there may be some confidence issues there, like you could be more confident in yourself than what you are. Now, the 3 cards that have come up, none of them are higher arcana. They're all different suits. and different numbers, and so I'll talk about it. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the Three of Pentacles. It looks like this, and I often call this like the student card, because it often means that we have something we have to learn. There could be something that you need to learn moving forward, that you're going to be put into a direction where there's something that you have to obtain, or that a specific skill set perhaps, or something that you're going to have to update or just improve on, or like there's going to be some learning involved in this moving forward. Beside that is the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups really represents coming to terms with a new emotion or a new way to feel. And so quite often this can like come out of nowhere, where you realize this new way to feel or this new emotion. And so just keep that in mind, that this learning may bring you into some new way to feel. You may find that you enjoy something you thought you wouldn't, or like it's going to be this new discovery of emotion for you. And then the card that's beside that is the Six of Wands reversed. And what this means often is that that your actions aren't necessarily going to stand out from others. I don't think that's in terms of like success. I think that's actually speaks of in terms of like being involved. That I think it more speaks in terms of like being a team player, not necessarily the leader of the team. Let me know how that resonates with you, Abdul, and if that makes sense. Hi Janet, thank you so much. I just put a note. I will definitely add you to the draw on Monday, as well as Shanine. And so because you showed interest during this event, just please note that I will respond to you through a message on Facebook if you're a winner after about 10 o'clock a.m. on Monday. So so just check your messages to see if you're a winner after that time. So Abdul, oh, thank you for that, Abdul. I appreciate you saying that. Your reading is so accurate. I'm glad that you resonate with this. I do hope it's helpful. I'd like to look forward now to look at some advice moving forward with this. I'll let you decide which deck I move forward with. Two of them come to mind. I have talked about both of these decks already tonight. One of them is the Zen deck, and it's really good at giving advice in terms of how we interact with the energies around us. And then there's the Heart Chakra deck, which gives advice in terms of what we need for ourselves. Given that this is sort of involves both, I thought I'd leave it up to you which deck you think I should proceed with. So do you want to use the Heart Chakra deck or the Zen deck? I'll just give it a moment for that to appear. Sometimes it takes a moment for the messages to come up. I think I might actually proceed and do both. I'm curious myself to see how these two decks will both give, like we can confirm the messages from either of the decks. So I'm gonna start with the Heart Chakra deck, and this is in terms of what you need for yourself. And then I will move to the Zen deck, where we'll do a quick pull from there in terms of how advice to interact with the energies around you. And so the three cards that came out, all of them came out reversed, and they're all very different cards. So I'm going to talk about them, but I just want to go in the order that they came out. The first one that came out is a Higher Arcana card, and it's the Crown Chakra card reversed. And quite often this deck, even though it's the heart chakra deck, if it points to another chakra energy center, it can mean that there's an imbalance of some kind. And so I feel like there's an imbalance in terms of your crown chakra. Now, crown chakra is all about like intellectual and thoughts and the thought processes that go on. And when our crown chakra is out of balance, it can mean one of two things. Either you're not giving things enough thought, so it's too small, your crown chakra could be very closed and you're not thinking about things enough or as clearly as you should. Or your crown chakra is too open or too wide, which can represent sort of overthinking things and just being like too busy in your mind, or having scattered in your mindset, or not being able to think things through. I'll leave it up to you which one you feel it could be for you, but there's definitely an imbalance in terms of your crown chakra and how you're thinking about this. Now, the next one that comes out is the excuse me, the sadness and isolation card. And it's reversed. So I think the advice here is to really say, don't fall into this. Don't fall into the sadness and isolation. And the next card that, is equivalent to like a pentacle. So this would be like embodiment for what we need. And the advice is not to move on. So don't give up. Don't give up hope. Don't feel like you have to then, like move on from this idea that you have or what's happening for you. I really think that the advice that's coming out of this is to stand your ground and really make sure that you're balancing your thoughts. Now, if you're familiar with energy centers, there are 7 energy centers that run through us. And they all affect each other, and so having them balanced is really important to make the best decisions for yourself and to analyze ourselves and to better know ourselves. Having those imbalances can cause irregularity. So somebody who has a heart chakra that's imbalanced is prone to be taken advantage of. Somebody who has a sacral chakra out of balance could have either too much courage or not enough. Somebody who has a head chakra imbalance, similar to what this reading is suggesting for you, Abdul, is like either overthinking things or not thinking enough. So just keep that in mind moving forward. I have a sense that if you can get your crown chakra balanced, you're going to be making those decisions for yourself, and then you're going to be looking at things in the right light, and these cards are going to flip around or even disappear. So I'm going to continue with a 3-card pull from this deck, and that's just going to give some advice in terms of how you interact with your surroundings, what's happening for you. So the 3 cards that we just pulled are more internal help, and then this is like external help or advice, external advice. Now, these are very interesting, and I'm going to go in the order that they came out for you, Abdul. The first one is projections. So this is really about how you project yourself or how others are projecting to you. I do get a sense that this is more about you rather than them, and that it's about how you're projecting yourself. So the way that you're showing how you feel on the outside is not matching how you feel on the inside. And so I really think that the advice in that could be that you need to connect more with what's happening for you. This is a 7 in numerology, and that's like spiritual development. And so I really think that you need to connect more with how you're feeling. You may be projecting a certain way and you're not connecting with how you're feeling inside. I'm going to start with the card on the other side, just because it's pulling to me, and I really like the way that this other card is going to finalize where you're headed. And this is the fighting card. Now, this is similar to like a Knight of Swords, where it's just like aggressive thoughts that lead you in a direction. Quite often it can mean a fight or struggle. And so I really think that what's being suggested here is to take on some sort of battle, take on the fight, take on the struggle. I think you want to be careful how you're projecting yourself, and there's going to get something that may get in your way that you're going to have to take on and resolve. And where is this leading? We have the Abundance card. And so I really think that this speaks hopeful for you, Abdul, that where you're headed is just going to take the right kind of force and action to get there, the right kind of effort that it's going to take for you. And projecting yourself accordingly is going to probably be strategic or at an advantage for you, and understanding where you're coming from yourself. And you'll lead to this abundance. Or look at it in terms of the goal to abundance. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, all of the, like with the amount of reversal cards in the one reading and compared to how your initial reading has come out, I do get confirmation in this. I do see a process of learning in the advice that's been given to you. I do see this, if you can get to know yourself better and get your crown chakra under control, you may be able to realize this new emotion or way to feel. And then there seems to be this like analyzing yourself and preparing yourself for something moving forward. And it's just knowing that you don't need to stand out in order to be recognized or seen, or to reach that abundance or to be successful. Now, when I bring this reading right back to where we started with the Page of Wands reversed, I can understand right now it seems unclear, because the Page of Wands reversed, you're not getting onto the path, or you're not starting the action that's going to take you in the direction. I think once you figure out what this action is and you flip this card around, everything else is just going to fall into place here. Does that make sense for you, Abdul? Let me know if this was helpful. I do appreciate you letting me do your reading for you. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to start to put the cards away, and then I will move on to Monica. Monica, if you're there still, just let me know. I'm just going to discharge and thank the decks. And Monica, just let me know if you would like a specific topic to focus on, or if you have a question you would like asked, or we can leave it general. Thank you. Hi Monica, thanks for confirming. Oh, there it is. And would you like a, oh, there we go. I'm just going to Absolutely, I can do that. I've done a reading similar to that before, actually. So your question was if I can throw some light on the Divine Masculine as his personality, characteristics, career. When will he enter my life, please? Absolutely. So you're thinking Divine Masculine in terms of like a soulmate, or like a twin flame. Is that correct? Okay. So I'm going to start your reading, Monica, with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to let me know where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then I'm going to move to this deck where I'm going to focus on the characteristics of that divine masculine energy that you describe. So what we're looking for when we do the 3-card pull from this deck are qualities being described in the cards that will help us determine or lead to that masculine divinity or divineness. And then what we can do is, once we have a description of who we're looking for, so to speak, we can then ask for advice moving forward on how to obtain that, if that makes sense. So I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull. And I'm just going to, I'm just noticing how the cards are really against themselves. And quite often, because when I do these readings, I'm connecting with your energy while I'm shuffling the cards in order to get the cards in the right order for your energetic pull or for your reading. And I'm just getting the sense of like you're against yourself or your worst enemy. And so what that can mean to me in your question, or where you're sitting right now, Monica, is that you may not be seeing it even though it's there. So there could be some influence of that draw, or someone in your life that you may not see it. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if that resonates with how you feel. But where you're sitting now energetically in the moment, and that kind of makes sense to me in the way that I just described this, the way that the card shuffled is the Hermit card. So you feel like you're alone, that this is all on you, and that you have to go inside. This is sort of like the introvert card, where you just sort of go internal. A lot of times this card can come up for somebody who protects themselves or is very protective of themselves, that they end up going internal and closing out. Let me know if that resonates for you, okay, Monica? And I'm going to continue with this deck. And I'm just asking this deck to clarify that the masculine divine as you described. I would just be careful with the Hermit card coming up in this question, with you sitting in the moment with the Hermit card, that that you're not going to close so much that you fail to see what happens around you, or that you don't notice the moment that will connect you to that significant other. So 2 cards have come out reversed, 1 is not. I'm going to start there and work my way across. The one that did not come across reversed is the 5 of Swords. And the reason why I feel like this is important to start here with this kind of question is this is like a no-win battle. You can see from the card here, it's like there's a battle that's been just maybe just finished, and even though the losers feel humiliated maybe in the back there, this person is collecting the swords, and it's almost like there's a no-win situation, or that everyone felt a loss in this battle that took place. Now, swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect, and 5 in numerology is like a determined either way. Like this could go either way. It's sort of like a decision that, or a fork in the road where you could go either way. And so I feel like what this is really describing is that, like the experience of what you've gone through. There's this decision that's not being made, it's just not materializing. And again, heavy thoughts and intellect, given that it's swords, and 2 is that decision in numerology, or that choice. And you can see from the image that the person is blindfolded, and that's probably why the choice can't be made. There's something missing, or there's this missing information. It's almost like you're blindfolded from the reality of right in front of you. And then the last card to talk about is the King of Rods reversed. And so I feel like with the King of Rods being reversed, and that it's this is more significant of, and what's standing out for me in this card is a brownish, either brown hair, brown eyes, masculine figure, and it reversed, meaning that they're absent. So they're either around the corner or they're just outside of your view. I have a feeling that you're either about to become connected with this other person, or that there's this that they're already around you somehow and that you're just not seeing it, or that there isn't this obvious approach yet, or there isn't this path leading to that yet. I think there could be something that needs to happen first in order for you to get on that path. Almost like in terms of, like, if you thought of this as fate, if it was fate for you to be with them, now isn't the time. I feel like this needs to flip around first. So when you get into this position where the blindfold rips off and the card flips around and you're able to make this choice, when you make this choice, that's, I believe, when this card is going to flip around with it, and you're going to then be approached or meet this brown-haired, brown-eyed man. Does that make sense for you, Monica? I don't think it gained a lot of clarity in your question in terms of when they were going to enter your life. If you feel like that there was this battle, that there was no winners, and you have to make this choice, if you see this choice coming up, know that that choice could lead to the discovery of this King of Rods. Now, rods represent action, and so this would be like a choice in terms of action. Now, this stood out to me more as a description of a person rather than the advice to move forward. So I would like to extend on this further for advice to move forward. I feel like the description itself is being very vague, and I'm not sure how helpful this has been for you, Monica, but I do get a sense that if you can make, as soon as you recognize this decision that has to be made and you make the choice, it's going to lead you, that the choice is going to either do or don't lead you in the direction to the king. I'm going to look at this in terms of interacting with the energies around you from the Zen deck. The reason why I'm drawn to this deck for this reading is because this deck gives great advice in terms of how we interact with the energies around us and the situations that we're in. And so I think that that would be more helpful. I think in terms of knowing what you need for yourself, I think you already know that. And so I'm going to focus more on the external factors of advice moving forward. And interestingly enough, we already had the compromise and the new vision card come up, but they came out differently for this reading. And I really like the higher arcana card that's come out for this. And so I'm going to start there at the higher arcana card, and it's the master card. Now, this is an image of Osho himself, and he was the creator of this Zen deck. And the master card is really representative of stepping into your own power, being the master of your own yourself, energy, your life, choices, everything. Like, you are the master of you. And this really stands out for me in terms of, because this reading was about you and connecting with your significant other, or your masculine divine, or your twin flame, different ways of expressing that. But I think it's all up to you. I think you have that choice. I think this is like, in terms of like, when it's ready to happen, it's going to happen. You just have to walk the path that's going to lead you there. Now, there is a compromise card. And so I find this interesting. 6 in numerology is how we interact with others, how we help others. And the compromise could be that you may need to make a compromise in that choice. I do see that connected with the 2 of Swords that came out in your reading. And then the New Vision. This is also a higher arcana card, and so your reading has really been bookended by these important messages. And the New Vision card looks like this, and it just, let's see if I can get it clear there. And it just represents like envisioning something new for yourself. So being able to look at your situation and know how to change it, or how to look at it differently, so that it's more helpful to you, or more healthy for you, or that it becomes more stabilizing for you. And then you can sort of, on that stable ground, possibly make the decision that you need to. I do see a connection with the way that these cards have come out. There's like affirmation, where there's the King of Rods, the Master, the choice that needs to be made with the compromise, and then this no-win situation with this New Vision. Like, if you can just change the viewpoint of this, it may not be a no-win situation after all. When I look at this reading as a whole, I see a lot of character development here for you, Monica. I'm just reading the message that's come up. Okay. That makes sense to me in looking at this reading, because of the determination that's shown in the reading. Being the master of your world, and the way that, you know, that is representative to me of what you just said, in the fact that you've been very clear about who this may possibly be. And so yeah, I don't think the compromise is in terms of the person. I think the compromise is in terms of what you need to do to get there. And I see that when I bring it right down to where you're at in the moment. Being introverted, being in the position of the Hermit card, within a love reading, can be a difficult place to be in. If you feel alone, you may feel like, you know, that could be like discouraging, when in fact you have it all coming to place around you. I hope that that makes sense. I do hope that this was helpful, Monica. Do you have any questions before I put the cards away? Just let me know last minute if you have any questions. I am going to start to put the cards away and just decharge the cards and thank them for their help this evening and their assistance. Thank you so much for letting me do your readings for you. And I do appreciate everybody who's come on to join me tonight and receive a free reading. As I said, I did have to choose to cap the readings to 6 short readings. In terms of your question there, Monica, just throw some light on the subject. I do feel like I won't, like, if this decision was clearly made, there would be more light on on your question. I feel like what the cards are really saying is that whatever this decision is that needs to be made is the choice that's going to lead you in the direction into the light. Now, if you can resonate with the description of a brown-haired, brown-eyed person, that may be helpful. I do understand that the cards were a bit vague in your question. Quite often, if tarot is being vague, it's giving you the information that you need to hear. And so I think that watch for the choice that comes up, because being blocked from making the choice, something is going to turn this around. I can just feel it. I can just feel that there's going to be something for you, Monica, that's going to turn this card around, and you'll be making that choice, or you'll suddenly be in that position to make the choice. And I hope that what you're referring to, it doesn't all stem down to this no-win situation. Quite often, if we change the way that we look at things, we may be able to see the outcome as not being an actual no-win situation. I do hope that that's helpful for you, Monica. And thank you so much for letting me do your reading for you tonight. Please feel free to join me again for the next Tarot Talk live event, which will be on Tuesday, May 9th. And during that event, I'm going to be looking at the differences between short readings and full readings. Oh, you're very welcome, Monica. Thank you for your message. And so I'm going to be looking at the differences between short readings and full readings. And I'm actually going to be offering, as I mentioned earlier, 2 full readings during that live event. And so you'll want to arrive on time in order to show interest that you want a free reading, because I'm only doing the 2, given that it takes about sometimes over a half an hour or up to a half an hour to do a full reading spread. I think it may be helpful, though, to show an example of a full reading. I've done lots of short readings on the Tarot Talk live broadcasts. And so it may be good to just show the differences, or what the benefit could come from that. Well, that's a good point too, Monica. Sometimes there's even a card for that in tarot, where if the High Priestess reverse card, quite often when that shows up on the table in that form during a advice pull or an advice position in a spread, it can often represent like you have a destiny, and if you were told the way to get to your destiny, you wouldn't reach there. Like there's quite often the journey is the lesson itself, in which you need to go through the process in order to achieve the goal. And so if you're just told how to get to the goal, you're going to skip the process and that leads there, and you won't actually achieve it. And so I feel like there's sort of that happening for you a little bit, that when it's right, and when that decision materializes, it's going to be like you're going to make a choice, and that's going to move you in the right direction. No, I thank you so much, Monica. I appreciate that. So thank you so much for joining me, everyone. If you're watching this from my website and you've made it to the end, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Please feel free to check out the previous Tarot Talk discussions topics on my website, staffordtarot.com, and then go into the blog section and change the category to previous live recordings, I believe it's called. And you'll be able to look through the list of broadcasts. There's the topics listed there, and if anything interests you, just check it out. I really appreciate doing these events. I really enjoy meeting all the different new people and just helping out however I can to anyone who's interested to learn to do tarot for themselves. So check out my website, take good care, and I'll see you all next month. Take care. Bye.